Hi everyone, welcome to this video. In my last video I talked about what fashion is, the difference between fashion and fashion industry, and I just started talking about fashion and time. In this video I will talk more about fashion and time. But first of all, I have to say one more sentence about fashion and fashion industry that is really important to be understood. Reducing fashion to fashion industry only is absurd. A way needs to be found to reduce fashion industry to fashion. Yeah, this one really is a sentence I'm proud of. So we can talk about fashion industry being fashion only when fashion industry is purely fashion, but it's not today, so we cannot talk about fashion at the same time while talking about fashion industry. Okay, now I'm done with fashion industry and fashion. Let's begin about fashion and time. So if I compare fashion to time, then probably most people do not agree, because you cannot say when it started, or you cannot say how did it start. You cannot say any specific things about fashion, and people always want to have a specific definition or specific date or specific thing or specific amount of information they can use to understand things. But many things on this planet are not yet to be understood that easily. So fashion is one of them. I'm sorry, fashion is not a catwalk, fashion is not a brand, fashion is not all these things. So talking about fashion and time, when did it start? It started exactly when time started. It's not something that was that's man-made, I would say. On this planet, fashion industry is man-made, but fashion is not a man-made thing. It's not something you can go and say, okay, now it exists and now it doesn't exist. The existence of fashion in time is just as strong as the existence of time in our reality. So, for example, if we take some period of our perception of time, for example, 1 year without fashion industry, and it's impossible for things to happen without fashion. But if we take 1 year without fashion industry as the main form of fashion in our reality, then we will have a time without a huge amount of fashion manifestation. What will happen then? I think, and it's most definitely true, that when fashion industry starts again, it will not start from where it ended, but it will start from the point of time it started. It will start producing goods, and it will start producing fashion artifacts and fashion just the way it would be perfect for that time. In fashion, you cannot go back. You can take inspiration from the past, but something you create today in fashion industry, it cannot be a result of fashion from 10 years ago. It can look like a fashion from 10 years ago, but it's never going to be fashion from 10 years ago. It's going to be a fashion of that exact moment. Of course, when I'm talking about creating fashion, please be aware that many things are not fashion. I'm talking about true fashion and fashion design, and it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference to see fashion from true fashion designers and fashion from people who make clothes. Okay. If you want to visualize fashion, please visualize it. I will make more content about fashion and time because it excites me to explore fashion and time, and I will show you graphic images about fashion and time, so you can see it. But if you want to imagine it, imagine fashion as something, a force that is always traveling along with the path of time. It's not ever going to be stopped. It cannot be destroyed, and most certainly it cannot be invented. It cannot be man-made in some part of human history. So fashion did not start in Italy in 15th century. Fashion did not start when first dressmakers were there. They were just starting fashion industry. And then we have a fantastic example of how fashion changes only by looking at fashion industry changes. Of course, fashion is as a force of time, it is always going to be affected by social changes and social challenges. And fashion industry will represent it perfectly. Time simply is, just like fashion. Fashion simply is. And that's it for today. I hope you learned something new, and thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Oh yeah, and just to mention, this is part 2 of my series Defining Fashion. So feel free to join me on this journey of defining fashion, and thanks again, and bye.